Make sure we are live. Testing 1, 2. And yes, we are live. Awesome. What's going on, guys? Donnie Rouse here, and we will just go right into it. Hi, guys. My name is Donnie Rouse, and you are listening to the podcast, One Life. Just commit. What results are you looking for in your life? Like, what do you want? And let me ask you a second question. What action have you taken? It's so easy to look out and say, like, wow, I want that, and point your finger in many directions. But when it comes to the practical action that you take, you may get scared and kind of take a step back. What I'm going to share with you in this process is just to give you some inspiration and some comfort to realize that it is in the commitment, it is in taking these steps that you actually start to fulfill or achieve or have whatever it is that you desire. And this story relates to that of Italian espresso. So as you know, I have my own coffee company. And one of the things that I've been working on for literally my entire career is I had the desire to make an Italian espresso. I had not put myself into that arena. Like I make an espresso, but I hadn't put it out there to the world because I just wasn't ready. Like I wasn't confident with what I was putting out because I'm like, it doesn't taste like the Italian espressos. But I want to tell you about most recently the pursuit. So as a result of like testing out different roasting processes all this time, so I have my cold Roman espresso, and for a while, when I was making this espresso, I was actually having someone else roast the coffee for me because it didn't make sense for me to do it when someone else could do it at a fraction of the cost instead of using my time. But when I moved my production, and I took it on because of some disagreements with the roasting company, I started to get nervous because one of the reasons that I was so hesitant to change was that I didn't want, I was like, well, what if I don't do it as good? What if what if it doesn't come out right? What if it tastes bad? I was asking the shitty questions. So the question that I should have asked, well, what if it could come better? Like, what if this would spur off something else? So I went through this testing phase when I was started to take over the roast of my espresso for a cold Roman. And in this testing phase, I would test out different things. And the benefit of me doing it in-house is because I'm always striving to get a better cup. I'm always striving to increase the enjoyment of the coffee. Something that I couldn't do when I was having this other company roast that Brazil for me. So now taking it on, I started to develop different roast profiles, trying to get the most out of this bean. And guess what happened? I developed a roasting recipe that actually gave me the tasting notes of that of Italian espresso. And I was when I tried this when I was pulling the shots, I was so excited because it was like notes of chocolates, almond, and more like amaretto. So it was like sweet almond. I was like, oh my God, this is amazing. And I immediately put a label on it and put it, so I'm now selling that as my Courage espresso. But here's what else happened. Realizing that I was at one step, like that literally I'd gotten the base of my ideal espresso blend. I'd gotten the base down. I started to move even further. So then I was like, you know what? I want to get some Robustas because I want to start putting some Robustas in there. My favorite espressos have Robusta. And this was going on literally over a couple years, right? I mean, the momentum just started happening now. But over the last couple of years, I had been requesting samples, but I hadn't been pulling a trigger because I was afraid of wasting money, right? I was like, what if I buy this and I don't end up using it all? I can't sell. Fear was holding me back from taking the steps necessary. And the only difference between then and now, I was like, fuck it. I am just going to buy it. And if I get these coffees, obviously I'm going to make a responsible decision, meaning I'm going to cup these coffees first. But I'm like, there is no forward momentum if I'm just standing still. So let me commit to it. If at the very least, if I have to write off these coffees, then it's a learning experience. Which brings me to lesson number 1. Realize that win or fail, you always are like, whether you get what you want or you don't, you always win because you're always getting a lesson. Life is funny like that, right? Regardless of what happens, you're always benefiting. So the whole idea is that as long as you don't give up, you will eventually and you also have to learn, right? You have to be able to look at your learnings and realize what results you're getting. But as long as you don't give up, you're going to get the result. You're going to get whatever it is you want. And so I realized this, and I got the espresso, I started cupping it, and I said, screw it, let me just go into it. Let me just purchase, a couple different ones. I'll play around with them. At the very least, it'll be a learning experience. And now, fast forward, I have those coffees coming in, and I've been playing around with the espresso already, and it's already great. And the reason I tell you this is because by purchasing those coffees, I made a decision. I drew a line in the sand. I said, this is the direction I'm going for. This is what I want. And I'm going to do whatever it takes in order to get there. And the decision was made earlier when I put the Courage Espresso on my website for sale. That was the real decision to move forward with it and to move forward with the Never. And putting the money up was more of like the commitment, saying, okay, now I've got skin in the game. Let's move forward. And it's funny how when that happens, that life just starts to give you things that will move you forward. You just have to pay attention to it. A different post altogether, but I started doing a lot of gratitude lately because I noticed that my mind could go in the dumpster sometimes. It gets like this whirlwind down. But then gratitude picks me up when I realize how all the struggles and the challenges that I've been facing with the coffee has actually moved me forward. To give you an example, as a result now of starting down this espresso blend, right? I've spent literally my entire life working in espresso, professionally, over 20 years in coffee. And if you want to count back even further, I've been pulling shots of espresso since I was 7 or something like that. But as a result of doing this now, I knew a lot of these things conceptually, like making blends, but how do you compose an espresso blend? I knew these things conceptually. But now as a result of actually creating it, I am developing processes that not even the best Italian roasters use, which is exciting. One because just because I love it, right? This stuff is what turns me on. And so now working in espresso like this, it opened the lid. Now I'm learning so much more and I'm fully engaged. And it just all came because of a decision. So if you're sitting on the sidelines, if you're hemming and hawing over something that you want, take a step. Don't be afraid. Take a small step. But if you want, back it up with some money. Put some investment behind you. Bet on yourself. Point number 2, bet on yourself to win. Know that whatever happens, that you will make it through the other side. When you do that and you leave your no other way out, you will capture the island. You will capture that. You will take the flag. One of the big reasons why people don't get what they want is because they leave. They have watering down of efforts and they leave escape routes. They move forward, they get nervous, and then they run the other way. And I'm not hating on that because, right, it's part of life. I've done that a million times. I've done it with my business a lot, right? I go back and forth, but here's the thing. I never give up. And I listen to what's inside of me. And I know that I may take a step back. For instance, the cold Roman that I make is the perfect example. I may take a step back, but then there's always this nudging to keep going. And when you plan to keep on going, even though you may step back, there comes a point where you get to that fence and you're like, you know what? I just need to take another step. And you step over that boundary, that wall that was holding you back before. And now all of a sudden you are in a new place and you get to see the world from a different point of view because you've conquered that fear, you've made progress, and now you're at momentum. So this was going to just committing, taking an action, committing to the result. and making sure that you just back it up, back yourself up by betting on yourself. I hope this coffee story resonates with you. I hope it helps you just understand that life is really working for you. The only thing you have to do is just allow it to go and get past the fears. Notice when your mind is chiming in and trying to throw you off, and hear it, but don't listen to it. Just keep going. So I hope you enjoyed this podcast here. If you did, please give it a thumbs up. Hit that subscribe button. If you'd like, or I appreciate it, not if you'd like, I would appreciate it greatly if you could share this podcast with 5 people. If you enjoy listening to this, give it to 5 people whom you believe would enjoy it just as much as you do. That is all I have for you today. I hope you enjoyed this. Hope it gets you to take some action just to move forward towards the life that you were meant to live. Because every day is a blessing, right? You just have to choose to, whether you acknowledge it or not, the fact that you're alive is a gift and a blessing. Acknowledge it and watch your world open up. I hope you enjoyed this, guys. Thank you so much for tuning in, for spending time with me. If you have any questions, comments, or you could please send them to me via my website at www.donnyrouse.com. That is DONNYRAUS.com. Remember, live fully, live passionately, and most of all, live now. God bless you guys, and I will see you again soon.